What's going on, everyone? It's Corey here from the Breakevens, giving you another team review today. Today we have the Brisbane Lions, the reigning premiers, very super coach relevant. Not as much preseason news as Adelaide, but a lot of moves and a lot of relevant guys, as I said. So before we get into it, don't forget you can find me on the socials, so at Breakevens Pod on X, on Facebook, the Breakevens, and here on YouTube, the Breakevens. Like, follow, subscribe for all the Super Coach content. As I said in the first video, been the Adelaide team review, and if you have not seen that, make sure you go check that out. Daily uploads all the way to round one. So let's get it going with the Brisbane Lions. So they finished fifth last season and won the premiership. Well done to the Brisbane Lions, narrowly missing out to the Mighty Pies the year before. They really deserved it last year, and the last 4 or 5 years I've tipped them each year to win the premiership, and they finally got there. So big ups to the Lions. So let's see who they brought in. So Levi Ashcroft was pick 5 and was a father-son, obviously, brother of Will, absolute jet. Sam Day was a preseason draft selection coming from Gold Coast, was his recent team. Ty Gallop. I'm sorry, I will probably pronounce a few names wrong throughout these series, but he was pick 42 out of the academy. So it was an academy selection. And same with Sam Marshall, pick 25 from the academy as well. So Sam Day could be someone that they look at with Joe Danaher retiring. But Levi Ashcroft looking to make an impact straight away. So who went out? As I said, Joe Danaher retired. Kellen Lane, he was delisted. Jared Lyons retired. James Madden delisted. Sorry. Is that Carter Michael delisted? Jackson Pryor was delisted, and Harry Sharp was traded to Melbourne. My handwriting isn't the best, and when I was writing up all these previews, I just started going like this. So bear with me, but Danaher, a big out. Lions at one time was a big out. Pryor, injury prone. Unfortunately, he got delisted as well, but everyone else wasn't really around the team except for Harry Sharp here and there, but didn't make a huge impact. So preseason news, again, as of the end of December 2024, Levi Ashcroft has hit the ground running and showing up a few of the senior players when he goes into those midfield drills. Someone definitely keep an eye on. Sam Marshall is turning heads, but it is a tough team to break into. Kitty Coleman, Darcy Gardner, Tom Doty, Lincoln McCarthy, they're all progressing nicely. They're looking to do main group training after the Christmas break, so they could be back now. I'm not sure when teams come back, but they should be back soon into full training. So let's go into the Super Coach selections. So the Primos, a lot of relevant people here. First one is Dane Zorko, 595k defender. Another year older, but someone last season that if you didn't jump on him, you really missed out, especially early. Went back and played out a halfback role because Kitty Coleman did his ACL and looked really good back there. Got through the whole season. Does his role change when Coleman comes back? Because Coleman is that guy that they want for the future, the ball in their hands, the guy breaking the lines, distributing off halfback. What happens with Dane Zorko? We know he can play up forward. We probably won't see him in the midfield a whole bunch because those calves of his, and he's very injury prone. Even though he got through a whole season last season, there was a whole thing that he changed his recovery I guess routine, and it seemed to work last season. But age is a big factor. I don't think he's a sub risk at all, but will he share duties with Coleman when he comes back, or does he get pushed forward? I probably won't be selecting him straight away if I'm being honest. Wait and see. And I think we could probably get him a bit cheaper during the season. Next is Lockie Neal at 645k as a mid. You know what you're going to get with Lockie Neal. The only big thing, I guess, with starting him is they have the early buy, which I'll get into shortly. So probably not a starting selection, especially at that primo spot. Just because that early buy. And Josh Dunkley is the same at 602k midfielder. Sort of took a step back a little bit last season. Showed off more his defensive game, but still racked up a whole bunch. We just saw a drop in his super coach consistency. But again, the early buy, that is something you do have to look forward or look at when selecting a team early on. So let's go to the mid-price and value selection. So first is Kitty Coleman at 269k as a defender. He has an absolutely great role when he plays. They want the ball through him, as I said earlier. In the grand final against the Pies in 2023, he was on 100 Supercoach at halftime. Everyone was hyped on him last year because of that. We know he can score highly. He's coming back off an ACL. Again, what do they do with Zorko? But I think Coleman is the man of the future. So hopefully he can get a nice clear run at it because one, he deserves it because he's worked hard to get himself into such a strong side and working on his game. So it would be great to see Kitty Coleman get a fair crack at it. One thing you do have to think about is the early buy. So he's at that cheaper price, but also Matt Roberts and Callum Mills are pretty popular selections at the moment. So, do you want to start with one of those guys and Kitty Coleman have two people out? It's something you have to think about what your strategy is. So, next is Tom Dodie, a 256k defender, back off an injury. As I said in the preseason news, we know what he provides, that 70 to 75 average, when he gets a good run, intercepting guy. The only, I guess, knock is Ryan Lester had a career season last season playing that Tom Dodie role. So do they just go, our main guy's back, that we picked him up for, so Lester, you're back on the bench, or you're a sub because you can play up the field as well? I don't think so. And I would like to point out with Kitty Coleman, Tom Dodie, and Lincoln McCarthy as well. They've just come off some big injuries, hardly playing last season, if not at all. Do they really need to rush these guys back into the side, or can they give them a couple weeks, in the resis, get that confidence, and then bring them in? Definitely something you have to keep an eye on. But Tom Dodie, We saw him at Adelaide, pretty strong, scoring wise, in the fact that 70, 75 is 256 too steep for that, probably. So I probably won't be going there with Tom Dodie. Next is Will Ashcroft at 441k mid. We saw him absolutely tear up the grand final last season. He came back, played 7 games, and averaged over 100 Supercoach points, I believe, in those games. How high can he go? I'm seeing a lot of people, he went 107 in 7 games. You play more games, there's a chance, against the weaker sides, you score better, blah, 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 blah. I think his absolute best would be 110, but I think he's between, do I dare say 100, 105, probably more 105. You know what? I'm not going to say 100 to 105. I reckon he's 105 average at 441k. You sort of want him to go 110 plus. I think there's a world where he can do that. He's an absolute talent. He's someone who I've had in most of the sides that I've been playing around with. I think player for the future. The good thing is, though, with that early buy, you get a little sample about with how he goes in the first couple games. So I think hold off. If you go a Clary or a Will Day, that's around the same price, and they get injured or they start off really poorly, then I think that could be an easy fix after his early buy. So just keep an eye on all of those guys. So let's go to the rookies. First up is Will's brother, Levi Ashcroft, 185k mid. I think we're going to see a mid forward split. Mainly forward, I think. You've got Neil Dunkley, Will Ashcroft. Then you got McCluggage, who wants some minutes there. You got a few other guys that I can't think of right now. They play Rayner through there from time to time. How much mid time, if any, will Levi Ashcroft get? It's all up in the air. What does that mean for his scoring input? Well, we've seen him play forward and still score well. He's an impact player. And then, obviously the bulk of his scoring is in the midfield. But he's smart. He's got the IQ. He's a great player, a good young player. He's going to be best 22. They're going to want to get him games. So then it becomes the Ashcroft midfield in a couple of years. He's going to play. What does that mean for his scoring? He can do it up forward. He'll probably play that high half forward role, probably get around the ball at stoppages. It's just all up in the air. I think he can easily go at an 85 average. I'm going to downplay. I'm not going to say he's going to go 90 plus because I just think if he's playing that forward mid split, that 90 average might be a bit hard. But I think that 85 average, 185k, is that good enough for your side? We don't know. So keep an eye on him. See where he's training. Preseason games. How much mid time is he getting? And then make your decision from there. The other one is Dev Robertson, 121k forward mid. And I think he's shot. That was someone that they're looking at for the future. But then you bring in Levi Ashcroft. Will Ashcroft is back from injury, at the end of last season. I think, unfortunately, unless there's a whole bunch of injuries, Dev Robertson is playing VFL. I think they're in the VFL, aren't they? Whatever league. I'm not exactly sure. Is he best 22? No. If he does play, is he a sub risk? Yes. I think he starts as sub if he's named in the 23. So I think you just leave Robertson out of it completely. Unless there's injuries, you're picking up in draft leagues. But yeah, I wouldn't be backing him to be a solid option at all. So that's all that done. Let's get into the fixture and the buys and everything of that order. So the Lions have the round 3 bye, which they share with Collingwood, Geelong, and the Swans. So what I was talking about before, with Neil, Dunkley, Coleman, even Ashcroft of the Will variety. They got the early buy, and it's the worst early buy because you got Collingwood who have Nick Dacos and someone who I'm looking at, Darcy Cameron. You got the Cats where you got Bailey Smith. Some looking at Max Holmes. People will look at Tom Stewart, Jack Martin. You got Toby Conway, who potentially could be the number 1 ruck. And then you got the Swans where you got Mills, you got Roberts, you got Riley Bice, you have Goulden, you've got Grundy if you want to go Grundy. I'm missing someone else. If people think Chad Warner are going, he's going to kick off because it's a big contract year, try and get that money. That's a big buy. It that's the one buy you want to avoid, in my opinion, early on. So that's why I was saying those Neil Dunkley, those primos. Do you want to pay up that money and have them miss a big round like that, where you could have a Dacos or a Roberts Mills? So then you have to try and cover that with a rookie. Probably wouldn't want to do that. And they also have the round 16 bye where they share with Geelong again, the Bombers, and the Giants. So both their buys are pretty crap for Supercoach. People have merit. Tom Green, Finn Callahan potentially. Is Jesse Hogan dominating again? Lockie Whitfield. I said Tom Green. Is Josh Kelly bouncing back? It's real tough buys for those Brisbane Lion players. So I'd try and hold off as much as possible on those primo guys and wait to get them a bit later. Now their fixture, so they play the Cats in round 0, opening round, which does not count to Supercoach. But in round 1, they have the Swans away, which is going to be a tough game because the Swans will want to bounce back after not showing up in the grand final once again. The Eagles in round 2 at home, absolutely going to tear that apart. Round 3, they have the bye. Then they have the Tigers away, but it does not matter because it's Richmond. They got the Bulldogs away because it's Gather Round and it's in Adelaide. Should be a tough midfield matchup there. And then the Pies at home, I think they're going to absolutely smash us. And their midfield will get on top. I have a feeling. So the first 6 rounds, pretty good. You got Swans, Pies, and Dogs that are, the tough ones. Eagles and Tigers, where you think they dominate. And, of course, the bye. They do play the Pies twice. They play the Cats twice, but they play the Cats in round 0. So for Supercoach, they only play them once. The Suns twice, the Hawks twice, the Swans twice, and the Dogs twice. So Pies twice, Hawks, Swans, Dogs, 4 tough matchups. Then the Suns, it's always the Queensland Clash or whatever they call it, and the Cats as well. So tough fixture for the Lions, which is expected because they won the premiership. So that's all I've got on the Brisbane Lions. A lot quicker than the Adelaide one, but there wasn't as big of an intro, so that makes sense. So that's going to do it for today. I've got a whole lot more coming. If you have not seen the Adelaide video, go back and check that. And then tomorrow will be the Carlton team review. So get ready for that. Don't forget, you can hit me up on X at Breakevens Pod, on Facebook, the Breakevens, and here on YouTube, the Breakevens. Like, follow, and subscribe on all of those platforms. And that's going to do it. So until next time, thank you for all for listening and watching. And until next time, it is bye for now.